Hi there, my name is Jessica Jordan. I run Jessica Jordan Ceramics. Got a little workshop in West Sussex in Worthing, and I've been there for about 3 years. I've also been doing ceramics for about sort of 15 years. So what I'm going to take you through today is a bit of lino cutting. So what I tend to do is with a bit of lino cutting is I will actually use that and press that into the surface of my pots. What I'm really inspired by is the landscapes that surround me in West Sussex. And I take aerial shots of those and abstract those out and put those onto my ceramic pots by painting or drawing or printing. And what I really am fascinated by is lino cuts. And I've just started doing lino cuts into the surface of some of my pots. And then rather than it being about sort of just mainly the landscape, it's also about the animals that are actually in the landscapes as well. So I'm working on one at the moment, which is a bird flying through some sort of cow parsley. I don't know if you can sort of see that. I haven't sort of finished it yet. But what happens when I'm pressing this into the surface, and once I'm finished with it, is that you get this lovely texture in the surface of the tile. So I make these as tiny little tiles that can be put into little box frames. So I normally put those into little box frames, and then they can be hung on your wall. And then I do sort of bigger ones as well. So I've got a huge lino cut that I did a couple of years ago, which is a swallow. I don't know if you can sort of see that. It was a swallow sort of flying through farmers' fields, and that's a really lovely image, printed and also in the ceramics as well. So this, shape it into one of my vessels, and then from there I can use that. So this is a test piece, and I can sort of use, so I could actually use this as a roller now into my work. But what's really quite nice is you can sort of see all the sort of patterns and textures, and what I will do is take an oxide wash over the top, and then what that does is it highlights all the marks in the surface, which is why you get all these little bits that sort of come in here. So these are all the lines that I've made into the lino cut, and then what I've done is I've just rubbed some oxide into that, which really highlights all those beautiful marks that you wouldn't normally sort of see if I was to print it. So all we're going to do is we're just going to finish this one off really. So I don't know if you can sort of see, I'm working on the bird mainly at the moment because I've done all the background, and I just want to sort of work on that bird a little bit more. So I've got, this is just a normal lino cutting tool. I do have a much fancier one, but I'm not sure where I've put that. But I also have, which I love, are these little Japanese tools as well, which are also for lino cutting, and I can get much sort of finer detail with these as well. You can see that. There you go. So actually I'm going to sort of finish off with one of these. So all we do is we have our hands behind us, because if I have my hand up here, if I slip, I'm going to go straight into my finger. Now I don't know whether you did lino cutting at school, but I know it hurts. So fingers behind. You mostly see me put my fingers in front because I always do, but I'm trying desperately not to. So all I'm doing is I'm just sort of putting in a little bit more sort of texture into this bird, just so when I print this into the ceramics, I can actually sort of see all those lovely lines that sort of give that effect of feathers. And all I'm doing is I'm just nicking into the surface. You can see just there, just nicking into the surface, just to sort of give a little bit more sort of texture there, just to highlight that as well. And I'm just going to work back into that, just to give a little bit more shape and form to that wing. So I don't normally sort of do lino cuts. One thing I sort of got into about 6 or 7 years ago actually, after having my second child. I went and did a night class at Northbrook College, and sort of learnt all about sort of printmaking, and my favourite was doing lino cut. I remember doing it at school, but very briefly, and I absolutely fell in love with doing lino cuts, and it's only since lockdown that I've rediscovered it again, really, just to sort of get back into something. Because I have to admit, one thing that's wonderful about doing lino cuts is the same with ceramics, is that you can just absolutely lose yourself in it. It becomes quite meditative. It's that whole thing of just sort of sitting there and carving into. So the lino that I'm using at the moment is a plastic lino, so it's called Flexi. It's a Flexi lino. So the stuff that I used to use was like a cowhide, actually, and used to have to heat it up on the radiators, and you could only carve into it for a little while until it was too hard again, and then you have to heat it up again, and wait, then carve back into it, and it used to take forever. But the beauty of this sort of the sort of more sort of flexible lino is that I can actually wrap this around 3D surfaces as well. So I can take that around 3D surfaces. Not that I do, because I work mainly on the flat anyway, so I quite like to work on the flat anyway. But you could quite easily take that round the ceramic pot and then rub up the surface and actually impress that into your surface, which would be quite interesting, actually. So again, just working into this. I'm going to take a couple of these little lines down a bit more so the bird stands out. And then it's a case of having a go at printing it into the clay. Do a couple more sort of little marks into the body. So once these are done, I can use these for all sorts. So I mainly use these onto my ceramics, or to make little tiny tiles. But you could make jewellery out of this. So you could actually sort of take the print onto ceramics and make jewellery, or I could just make some cards or anything along those lines, really. So the lino cuts can be used for quite a few different things. I'm going over some of my lines just to make them slightly deeper, because I want the clay to take up as much of that texture as it can. And I'm sort of pressing that. And sometimes I do really detailed ones, and sometimes I leave them very simple. You know, there's quite a bit of detail in the back of this piece, but actually in the bird there's not a lot of detail at all. And if I don't like what I've printed, what I sort of tend to do is then I go back into it again and work back into it. That's the beauty of doing this. But it does mean that I do then have an image that I can continue to sort of work with and print with, and that will pretty much last me forever, really. But once I've actually done my image, if it becomes particularly popular, that's quite good to have something that I can actually then sort of use time and time again. Not that I potentially like to sort of do that all the time, because I use my work mainly as a one-off piece, but this is a really nice way of actually getting an image onto my pots that I can use time and time again. You can also take that and actually print that several times onto a slab, so it then looks like you've got several birds sort of flying around as well. I don't always just do birds, I occasionally do sort of more sort of abstract pieces as well. So this is one of my more sort of abstract pieces that I did. Actually, I think that was the first piece that I made actually in my class, and that was quite interesting to sort of do that. So I hope it gives you something else to sort of think about. It's just something that I've I tinker around with, really, if I'm honest. I don't always just make landscape pots. I thoroughly enjoy doing a bit of lino cut as well. So yeah, there's not much to lino cutting really. It's just about taking your time and sort of really sort of planning out your picture, really, more than anything else. So if you get the cream lino, much easier to work on, quite easy to sketch out, where if you've got the black, it's fine if you use a Sharpie, but you can sometimes lose all your marks. I have to admit, when I did the bigger one, that took forever to sort of do that one, but if you can get hold of the cream lino, then that's really good stuff. Thank you for being here, and hopefully I'll see you again soon.